Well, it's that time again. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the interview with Craig Veltri.
Thank you, Megan Pennington, and welcome to the interview. You might think that our guest was genetically engineered to be an award winning country singer songwriter. She has a southern accent, perfect pitch, and a way of turning a phrase. However, instead of heading for Middle Tennessee and Music Row, she has spent a decade in Western Tennessee, establishing herself as Memphis country music queen, the queen of Memphis country, if you prefer. Her most recent album, 2023, I Guess That's Life, demonstrates a unique blend of the twang and imagery Nashville is renowned for, with a heavy seasoning of rock and roll direct from the source, Memphis, Tennessee. Damn me for my silly rules and having to choose only one track off the record, but I like a good car song, and Jesse James is a damn good car song and is a prime example of this blend, and we will play it at the end of this episode. Recording in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and calling in from Memphis, Tennessee, here she is, Amber Rae Dunn. Amber Rae, sorry, Your Majesty. Welcome to the interview.
God, please don't do that. Uh,
Okay,
I have
I can only do it once, but
I have a buddy here, and when I show up to shows, he's a musician as well. He calls me Queen, and I'm like, please do not. like, so
Okay, I will take the pedestal and I will crush it into rubble. So don't worry about that.
thank you, and honestly, I think I'm gonna get you to write my bio for my website because
Oh.
you called me genetically engineered to win awards. Like,
Well, you have won
a
many awards, and we will get to all of that in a second. So we met a while ago, and we I noted your music, and I noted that you seem to have a sound and a voice that belongs in Memphis and Nashville, but you chose Memphis. Why Memphis?
Well, that is a very long story.
Please.
You can call me back for your 2-hour podcast for that one.
Never,
But
never.
I'll give
I'm not
you
Robert
the.
Evans.
I will try to give you the brought down version. But basically, I started doing music on accident, complete accident. So my parents are very simple. I come from a family of 7 children. My dad is a barber, and my mother is a homemaker. They still to this day don't have cell phones. They don't have internet. They don't have credit cards. They don't smoke. They don't cuss. They don't drink. They go to church every Sunday. They're very simple, and simple in a good way, in like a pure, sweet, nobody is like this anymore kind of
From
way.
Arkansas, I seem to recall, correct?
Yes. I live in Arkansas. I'm in Arkansas right now, if you can't tell, all the greenery.
Um,
But the natural state. um,
Technically Memphis suburbs, if I may correct myself. So
yes. So it takes me probably 40 minutes to get to downtown Memphis because it butts up right to the river right there,
mhm,
Mississippi. And where I work in West Memphis, which is just across the bridge in Arkansas, it takes
mhm,
me about 10 minutes to get to downtown Memphis.
right.
So Beale Street for me is 10 minutes away on any given day.
Yeah.
But like I said, just real simple family. And when it was time to go to college, I was just like, well, what in the world? My parents hadn't been to college. What would I go to college for? And I happened to be decently good at art in high school. So there was a art college in Memphis called Memphis College of Art that actually President Carter's daughter went to. It was a very prestigious, more of a conceptual art college.
Mm.
And it was small. It had about 400 students, but it was only art, printmaking, photography, like old school photography, where you actually had to put it in the chemicals, and sculpture, painting. All it was just such a cool school. Anyways,
Is
I
that something
applied
that you
there.
utilize at least in your promo and stuff like that? I noticed most of your album and singles covers are
Oh,
photographs. Is that is
they are.
is that a choice that just that you don't want to do all that dirty work anymore, or is just or you
This
just
sounds
prefer the
terrible, but
photo?
I can take a good photo, so the photo works.
But,
No, but if you
I
well,
don't think you've ever met a camera that didn't love you, so I believe it.
well, if you noticed, um, they all have an element of artwork to them, though. I do design all of them, and there's always some hand drawn artwork. All my logos, I silk screen all my T-shirts. Most of my merchandise has an element of Amber designed it, or Amber drew it, or Amber hand made it. So that's kind
Okay.
of where I get to incorporate that. And thank you for jumping in because okay, full disclosure, guys, I have 2 radio shows and a TV show, and I interview a lot of people. And I work at a barbershop in the daytime. Now I work with my father. That's the day job. Every artist has a day job. So I can talk for hours. So
Yes.
thank you for continuing to jump in because this is totally your show, not mine.
I, well, my name is on the show, but it is an interview, so
I know, but I like that. You're teaching me because I don't have a background in any of that. I stumbled into that just as much as I stumbled into music. But
we'll
yeah,
both
so
mark
I
that.
decided to go to.
So how did you get to Memphis?
Well, that's what I was gonna say is I did go to Nashville at first,
Hmm.
and because whenever I started doing music, it was after college. I had that art degree, and my life was set. Music. I had never touched an instrument. I had never been around. I mean, I went to shows, concerts, and stuff. Who doesn't go to a concert? But
Mhm.
it just wasn't in my trajectory, if that makes sense. It never
Okay.
had crossed my mind
So
that
you
that
picked
was
up
a
the
thing.
pen later in life, really?
Yeah, so I had a friend at that college that I went to. I became a sculpture major. He was a videographer, and he had a reggae band called Yubu and the Africans. He was from Kenya and got a scholarship to come over to America and study. And we just became really good friends. And he asked me one day to be a background singer in his reggae band, and I was like, Yubu, I don't know anything about reggae music. I don't know anything about music. I only think I can sing in my car. And he was like, well, I know you can sing because I hear you humming when you're working in the sculpture studio. So come on, come be in the band. And so I did tryouts and they let me in. And next thing you know, I'm one of the Africans. The joke was that I was a South African because the band was Yubu and the Africans. So I just kept my mouth shut and sang. And he was a songwriter. And I would follow him around to these shows. We just became really good friends. He's living in Iowa now. He's still in America. But he just said, why don't you try songwriting? And I was like, I don't know. And he was like, just try it. And at that time, I was listening to a lot of 50s and 60s country. I had just discovered like Loretta Lynn and Little Jimmy Dickens and Roger Miller and all these people that I was like, where has this music been my entire life?
That's a very good
And
question because you would think Arkansas, you would think, parents of a certain age, you would think that would be on the radio constantly. Was that
well, that's 50s and 60s. I
right?
did grow up with a little 90s country.
Okay.
My dad, for a little bit of my life, he listened to 90s country. But then he started, my dad's very religious. And at some point, he started listening to the Bible tapes where they read the Bible.
Right.
And then from then on out, that's all we ever heard on the way to school. So that was pretty early on. That was maybe at like age 10 or something. So I got 90s country before that.
Okay.
And then my mom listened to Prince and Michael Jackson, and her favorite was Al Green.
Mm.
Um, yeah, so she was like R&B soul. She's from Iowa, actually, so from the
Yeah.
north. She didn't know anything about
So perhaps,
Southern
perhaps the
country.
Reverend implanted Memphis eventually to you. So
Well, like I said, my friend that was a songwriter prompted me, and I wrote, just on a whim in the shower one day. I was thinking about him, thinking I could write a song. So I wrote a song called Arkansas Line, Overtime, a couple of showers. And I
we all have a
followed,
few of those sessions.
yeah, I was following him around to open mics. And there was one called Soul Speaks. And the lady that was the host, she kept saying, if your soul has something to say, this is your place. We're here for people's souls that speak, and we're loud and proud. She just I'm still friends with this girl to this day. Her name is Tandria Lyons, and she has a radio show called Radio Memphis. And I'm on her show still, but it was her that night, and she just kept saying, "If your soul needs to tell us something." And I thought I had written a song, so I don't know. I like moseyed on over there. I wrote my name down, sat back down, and then when they called my name, I was like, "Oh my god!" So I get up there and I sing this song called "Arkansas Line" that I wrote, and at that time, still had not touched an instrument, so it was just words and melody. And I get up there and I just snap my fingers, and the song is like, "I'm from the country on the edge of the Arkansas line, squeezed up right next to the Mississippi," da 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 da, and it goes on. But I snapped the whole time, and I made it through it. I didn't die. That's the very first thing. That's the first thing that you learn when you share a song. You don't die. But I had so many people that
Sometimes just
come up.
metaphorically, but
Yeah, yeah. I had so many people that came up and told me that sounded good, but that sounds like those people in Nashville. And it was right when that TV show Nashville came out.
mm-hmm.
So they would always say, "That sounds great. You sound great. Your voice sounds good, but you need to go to Nashville." And next thing you know, I had written two more songs. And so it was usually one of those three, which are all three on my first album. But, uh, it was
Yeah,
just so,
and spoiler alert, it did wind up being on a record called
yeah,
Arkansas Line that came
yeah,
out in 2017.
yeah.
So I guess my question going forward in Arkansas Line, was it recorded in that? Did you wind up recording all that record in Nashville, or did you go back to Memphis with it after? Why ultimately did you decide not Nashville? Did you miss home? Did you just or was Nashville not what
Yeah,
you
and
were
I
looking
know
for?
I'm taking the long way around to this answer, but it's very pivotal in who I am and
Absolutely.
where I am and why everything. Because so I moved to Nashville, and I was 25 before I had ever touched. Well, no, I still hadn't touched an instrument at that time, but it just kind of hit me one day. It was right after mind of have to let your mind stop and just kind of let other things take over.
Hmm.
And so I just on a whim told everybody, "Hey guys, Sunday I'm moving to Nashville," and they're like, "What?" I'm like, "Yep." I didn't give anybody time to talk me out of it. I had a week to get everything in order and to get over there. Um, Thankfully, I had a friend, Jerry Don O'Neill from Arkansas, who I had sang with a time or two when he came to town, because it was about, I'd say, about a 2-year period of me writing these three songs, performing these three songs a couple of times, and then finally, just kind of, I don't know. I don't know. Just feeling whether or not I wanted to do music or not.
Of
And like I
course.
said, when my body said, "Yeah, I think we want to try this," the whole just floodgates of everything said, "We have to try this." So I said 5 years. I'll give it 5 years. That's a good amount of time to see if anything is worth my while. I moved to Nashville. Um, Moved in with Jerry Don. I lived in his basement and was well on my way to get this started. A buddy of mine got me a job at a barber shop over there because I had already worked at my father's barber shop at that time. I've had my cosmetology license since I was 18. That's just kind of something you do in my family.
Hmm.
Everybody's a cosmetologist or a barber, and everybody owns a
In fact, that
salon.
was
So
the lead track and I think lead single off of your previous record. In fact, it's a very charming number about that.
yeah, yeah, barber shop. Go look that up. There's a video if you'd like to know more about where I work. There's a video at
That
my
is
job.
actually you actually shot that where you work.
Yeah, with my dad and a bunch of my customers. And um but so I moved to Nashville. I was there about 9 months. I was working at that barber shop, and then I was a manager at a Pier 1 store after that,
Mhm.
later in the day. And then at night, around 9 o'clock, I would go down to Broadway and I would work tips for the bands in hopes that I could meet some of the guys, and one of the bands would let me get up there and do some songs. Or, eventually I'd be singing with the band full time or get to know a band somehow.
Mm.
Because a lot of, and this is what I tell younger artists, a lot of opportunities happen by just showing up,
Yep.
just being there, being in the room, getting to know people. Um, I'm not trying to say that it doesn't hurt to, when you first meet somebody to shoot your shot, but sometimes it does. So get to know people first, show up, help out, and then shoot your shot. But
Mm-hmm.
so that was kind of the life, is those three things every single day. And I was just wearing myself ragged. But that's what you have to do. And I feel like I was just starting, it was about 9 months. I was just starting to get a foothold of knowing the lay of the land, making a couple of friends, kind of knowing what I did and didn't want. And my little brother got killed back here in Memphis.
Ryan,
He,
if I if I if
yep,
I if
yep. He got hit on a motorcycle, and it was just really sudden. And he was the child just under me. So he was like my baby when he was born. I'm a
mm,
little girl that's older than him, and mom has this baby, and it's like, oh, that's my baby. And so it hit us all really hard, because he was, maybe my older brother and then Ryan, they were the most innocent ones of the whole family. Just
mm,
really sweet, just good souls, quiet, no bad bone in their body, and it just
mm,
hit us all so hard because it was so random.
mm.
And then the guy that hit him was lied and said, oh, no, he ran the light and hit me. And it was this whole court case, and
Mm.
just a bunch of junk that we didn't want to have to go through as a family that we were about to have to face.
Right.
And I'm the only child that's kind of transient and can kind of, I can hustle and make it up anywhere. So why not go back and kind of help my parents through this? Because they were having a really hard time. And to be honest, my mom, I mean, they both still are, but
Oh, it must be a
my
nightmare.
dad has his job and his friends at work, so to speak, as a barber. My mom is still kind of a stay-at-home mom, and she's kind of having and that was 10 years ago, full disclosure,
Yeah.
but she's still having a hard time. And anybody that's ever lost somebody sudden that was a child like that would know what I'm talking about. But
Well,
that's what brought me back to Memphis, and I didn't plan on staying, but it was like enough things kind of presented themselves when I came back to help them with that. I was only going to be here about a month, that I don't know. Like I said, the gut said, we're going to stick around.
we're here with Amber Rae Dunn here on the Craig-Veltri interview, proud member of the Scarfire Media Podcast Network. For more on Scarfire Media, please visit our website, scarfiremedia.com. Check out all the great podcasts here on the Scarfire Media Podcast Network. The Cool Brother Podcast, Deep Core Lore with Emmy Sasani, Mommy Rockstar coming soon, I promise. And thank you for listening to the Craig-Veltri interview. Please like, share, and subscribe. I do want to talk about this. There is a song on the previous record called My Ryan. Now, the incident occurred 2016, it sounds like. The album itself came out in 2023. As far as a song that on such a subject as that, and perhaps this is a way we can talk about your process as a songwriter. How long did it take you to process the grief and to put that into a song, considering the length of time between what happened and how it wound up on Spotify?
Well, I didn't plan on it. That's first and foremost. If you're familiar with my work, you would know that I like to sing about and write about the lighter side of life. I like
That
funny
is
songs.
the vast majority of your stuff, yes.
Yeah. I like kind of making a joke out of things and moving on. I'm not a deep songwriter. And that song just kind of came about. So you had asked earlier about my first album, where was it recorded? Well, like I said, I wasn't in Nashville really long enough for that to happen. So part of why I stuck around in Memphis is for that first little month that I was here, kind of just, getting life back together with my family and just everything. I landed a job accidentally at a studio called MGP, the studio, under Mark Goodman. Mark Goodman Productions is where the MGP. He was the drummer for the Blackwood Brothers.
Not to be
Back in
confused with I was thinking
Steve
Mark
Goodman?
Goodson, who, well,
Oh,
I was
no.
thinking Mark Goodson, the game show producer.
No.
But forgive
Good
me.
man. A good
Yes.
man. He had gotten 2 Grammys with the Blackwood Brothers back in the day and had a studio here in Memphis. And a guy saw me performing. Actually, I came back to town and I was like, what am I going to do? I still can't play guitar. I still don't, so I walked in a little bar, Memphis's most haunted brothel, called Ernestine and Hazel's, and asked this guy. I was like, while I'm in town, do you mind if I like host an open mic so maybe I can get to meet some Memphis artists, because I still didn't know anybody outside of you, boo. So he said sure, and I started hosting this open mic on Tuesdays or Wednesdays, just so I could get to meet some Memphis players, because it looks like I might be in Memphis and I don't know anybody. I felt like if you build it, they'll come. And that's exactly what happened. And it became Memphis's most successful open mic for those 5 years that I did it every Wednesday. It was grueling. I'll never do that again. But I quickly met everybody. So that was a good thing. And one of the guys there asked me if I wanted to work at that studio. They had a position for a social media manager. And I started working at that studio. And that's where I recorded that first album.
Mm.
I know that wasn't your just most recent question, but I just felt like I needed to answer that.
That's very well. But in fact, I can probably add on top of that to follow up on something that you said, that you do tend to talk about the lighter stuff. But with the previous record, I Guess That's Life, not only My Ryan, but the title track, it does delve into some very confessional subject matter and perspective into what is going on in your world. Is that why you decided that song was going, in particular, I Guess That's Life, is going to end the song? My Ryan, not too far as track order is concerned, that this is going to be the emblem, this is going to be representative of the piece of an album as a whole. And I'll reserve a question about album making in a second, but why I Guess That's Life?
Well, part of that was also the producer that I worked with. So I only have the 2 albums, guys. I do have a third one coming out in August with a gypsy jazz string band that I have been singing with lately. And I call that my accidental album, because we got free studio time with this new record company, and we are so well rehearsed that the 3 songs that they gave us time for, we knocked those out in like 2 seconds. And next thing you know, they were like, well, do you have another song? Because we still have time for you. And we did another song, and we recorded 13 songs that day. And so now we have a 10-song album coming out accidentally. So that's really cool.
You may not be a queen, but you are a machine. My gosh.
I am a machine. I love what I do. And so I give it my all. And sometimes that lands flat, and sometimes it blossoms into something really cool. But you really do have to give it every ounce of your being. And so that second record, the first one I recorded here in Memphis, but, I still kind of yearned for Nashville a little bit. And I met a producer at an event called Springboard Memphis. And it's like a music industry event that had came to town. They go all over to different cities. And Billy Smiley was the guy's name. He was the founding member of a band called Whiteheart that had a lot of Christian rock in kind of like the 80s. He's won a lot of dub awards. And he was working out of a studio called Sound Kitchen in Nashville that has recorded a lot of big names.
Oh, I've heard of Sound Kitchen, yeah.
Okay. He invited me over there. I saw the studio and basically kind of laughed in his face, because I can't afford this place. But we were...
That was my conclusion.
He liked my material enough, and we were able to work everything out. And so that second album, some of the songs were halfway finished, or, some of the songs I completely had when I came to Billy. Some of the songs he kind of helped me finish up. Barbershop, we flat out wrote that together. I thought that was really cool. Like, he said, have you ever written a song about where you work? Because he could tell that that's part of who I am. And I was like, no, I've played around barbershop blues, whatever. And nothing really stuck. And he was like, let's write it. And so I was just like telling him about my life at the barbershop. And then between the 2 of us kind of putting those ideas, after jotting them all down, together. And My Ryan was one I didn't necessarily mean to write. It was more of just processing through the feelings that I had of that subject. And the song it's just kind of the simple story of what happened. I don't really go super deep about how I feel about what happened.
Yeah, I
I
noticed
just
that.
kind of tell the story of what happened. And I'm very proud of that song. It took my mom 3 years to finally listen to the song,
Mm.
and like another year to watch the video. But Yubu Kazungu, that buddy that was a videographer, he did a very good job of mixing old 90s home videos of us as kids in on the video, and just it'll bring you to tears. It's a really good
Oh, I came
video.
very close to featuring the video, and I highly recommend listeners and viewers go and watch that video. I mean, not only is it a beautiful song, not only is it very powerful, the video itself, I gotta say, is beautifully shot, beautifully edited, and it is a credit to your friend that
Yes.
he did had such a light touch on everything, especially when it came to the light. I mean, you look great in red. The backlighting in
Thank
red
you.
was also a very nice touch as well. I do want to ask about the lead up to I Guess That's Life.
Yeah.
You
Now
it
that
appears
song's
that
actually about my husband, but go ahead. That's his life. The song.
oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, well,
So that I guess that's life. What the subject matter is talking about him, his life.
oh,
So
okay. Well, I'll get to that. Color me intrigued. I'll get to that in a minute. But it seems that these songs were the album itself. At least the first couple tracks of it were recorded in 2021. The full album itself came out in 2023. Was that a thoughtful strategy? Were you planning on doing a full record at that point in time, or were you just going to be a singles artist at in 2021 and you decided, hey, we have a collection, let's put out a collection?
I thought you were going to ask, was that COVID related?
That
Because
did
if
not
you're
occur
looking
to
at
me,
the,
but was it?
I was going to say, because if you're looking at that timeline, everybody had something weird going on around those years. And it was definitely COVID related.
Oh, that would be the 2 hour podcast for me, but and a whole record.
Yeah. So
But was it COVID
basically,
related?
yeah, it was COVID related. The plan, I had just met Billy. We had just started on these songs. The plan was, or strategy, I guess, was one song a month, or every other month, and then in between was going to be a music video, which with each song. So we were going to release a single, then release the music video the next month, then release the next single, then release the music video. Every song was going to have be a single. Every song was going to have a music video. Then we had released, I think it was 3 of the songs and 2 of the videos. And we're still, you're kind of actively working on them and just slowly releasing them as they come. So we were probably done with about 5 more of the songs and maybe 1 more video that we hadn't released when COVID hit.
Mm-hmm.
And as you know, COVID just, I'm a social butterfly. I love people. I love crowds. I love all the things that COVID hated. And so COVID for me, a lot of artists love being alone in the studio and love the quiet time and love I like people, quiet time for me I like that with my plants, but it was hard COVID. So that's why everything was released in different ways, because we were on this trajectory. And honestly, I'm so not proud of this, but I still have 2 music videos for Memphis, Tennessee off of that album, one of the songs.
Great song.
And I Guess That's Life, the music video. That was supposed to be the very last video. They still haven't been released, and I'm just sitting on them. And I
Do
don't,
you plan on releasing them?
yeah, I hate not releasing things, but now it's like been so long, and I don't know. It's like, do I put together a release show, a party, or do I don't want to, like, one of my producers here in Memphis is like, just release them, man. Like, just put them out online. And I was like, yeah, but I don't want them to just fall flat. Like, I want them to have a little moment. I worked really hard on these things.
Mm,
So I don't know if anybody has any suggestions. Let me know.
uh,
I've been sitting on both of those for about a year, and I'm not proud of that. And I am going to release them. I just don't know how. I
Mm,
don't know how.
well, first you upload them, and then you Uh, that would be my suggestion if you want to
Yeah.
know. But it sounds like you got some cool stuff coming up ahead. You mentioned already though that you are something of a radio personality in Memphis as well, and I
Mhm.
understand that you actually got the job from, I believe he was a member of the Memphis Mafia, the so-called
Mhm.
taking care of business crew with
Mhm. Mhm.
His Majesty Elvis Presley. How did
Yes.
you fall into that?
So that's a cool thing about Memphis is, Nashville is a music town, but Memphis is too. And I think that was another reason when I came here that I was able to stick around. If I
In
was
fact, if I
going
can
to,
table the question about your radio show, just the comparison
yep.
between Memphis and Nashville. Naturally, Nashville continues to thrive not only as a recording town, but it's coming up now as an entertainment town. It's becoming,
Hmm.
it's becoming LA South at this point because a lot of people are
Hmm.
moving in from LA for a plethora of reasons. Memphis does have the history of being an industry town. It's not as
Hmm.
much anymore. I mean, hell, even Sam Phillips up and left for Nashville in later on after he got his money and stuff like that. But there is still an infrastructure
Yes.
for that kind of music, and obviously it's bared fruit for you. Is that a lot of the reason why there's enough here for me to do the music? So why go east?
That is exactly why. Because there is enough here to do. And believe me, I do all of what is here to do.
We'll get back to
But
radio in a minute.
but also, I do love Arkansas, and I live in Arkansas, just to be clear.
Right.
I'm from Arkansas. I love everything about it. So it's not far removed from my heart. It doesn't hurt me in any way to be in Arkansas every second of every day. But I am right in the middle of everything. My brother lives in Austin. It takes me 9 hours to get there. It takes me 3 hours to get to Nashville. It takes me 2.5 to get to Muscle Shoals. I can easily get on an Amtrak, go to Chicago, or go to New Orleans. I'm centralized, and I get to do my music stuff. So it's actually strategically a very good place to be. I can be anywhere, and I like to go everywhere. So it works out really good. Um,
Well, you're selling up
and
me on it pretty well, and you sell pretty well for the Memphis scene on your radio
mhm.
show. And again, you Memphis Mafia Beginnings.
It's
Please.
called the radio show is called Memphis Sounds.
Mhm,
That's the one that you're talking about.
mhm.
I've been the vice president of the Memphis Songwriters Association since I moved here from Nashville. Because you have to do whatever you can. Like you said, Memphis, the industry has gone down a little bit, and so I literally do everything I can to be as involved in everything that's going on. And so I have a radio show with them through Radio Memphis called the MSA Radio Hour. But the other one, the Memphis Connection, that's through WYPL. And it's the Memphis Library System. And that's where my TV show is also at. And the TV show used to be George Klein's TV show. And
Mhm.
for anybody that remembers George, he was Elvis's best friend. And he wasn't a musician, but he was just an advocate for Memphis music. And his TV show had everybody from Bobby Rush to, just everybody on it, the who's who of Memphis music or anyone coming through Memphis or that had anything to do with Memphis. And when he passed away a couple of years ago, the producer who I had known for a while, and everybody would whisper who he was when he would come in the room. So I always treated him nice and stuff, but he never necessarily showed any favoritism towards anybody. And it wasn't until this latest album, I guess that's life, when he came. One of the places I bartend because I just pick up gigs to be involved in music, and there's a
What
songwriter
don't you
night.
do, Amber?
I honestly cannot make you a cocktail to save my life. Like,
I don't drink, so that's no
oh,
problem.
okay, okay. Well, when I've been tried to make cocktails, people come back and they're like, "Can I get more Coke in my Jack and Coke?" Because I'm a heavy pour. Um, but I bartend this songwriter night here in Memphis called South Main Sounds because it's our version of the Bluebird. It's a listening room and it's
Right.
original music only. So when I found out this guy needed a bartender, I was like, I'll do it. I just want to meet all the songwriters. And I've been doing that for 10 years too now. But Jerry Williams is this gentleman's name, and he came in to drop off some Four Roses bourbon because every once in a while, some of the local alcohol places will donate to this songwriter night. And he was dropping it off, and I knew who he was and gave him my CD and was like, hey, I got a new album. Love for you to listen to it. And next thing I know, he comes back the next time we're having a songwriter thing and was like, wait, who are you? Like I've known you and seen you, but this album's pretty good. Hold on, what do you got going on? And it was just perfect timing, and we became friends. And I guess he saw like I said, I don't have a background in hosting things or any kind of media degree, and to be honest, I've done podcasts and commercials and those kind of things, but I'm honest. I'm just an honest person. So sometimes I say too much. So I was a little nervous in being on something a little more proper, but thankfully they have an edit button. So if I ever did, they can cut that out because they are pre-recorded. So thank God for that, because I'm bound to say anything.
I do have a broadcasting background, and I will say this: you are a natural. There's good inflection. You don't have a lot of nonverbals, the ums, the stuff that I've been doing, but it's lovely that you've landed in those platforms, and and I have watched a few of the things that you've done. You're really good at what you do, editing or not. So and it sounds like you got some great stuff coming up as well. You mentioned the album to be coming out in August. Does it have a name?
So this will be my first album. So there was a gypsy jazz string band here in Memphis called Mulberry Jam.
Right.
They've been playing together for 30 years. So these guys are a little bit older. But what's cool about them is they love to bring in younger talent and kind of help them learn and help them get connections, and then kind of lead them off to fly and then go get another one. And so they help a lot of really young artists. Like I'm talking, our fiddle player is 17 and she is a prodigy. Her name is Anna Sharp. And she just kills it. Everybody wants to play with Anna now because we've introduced Anna to everybody and we've helped her hone her craft. Well, they met me at a time that my band, which is really weird, my band was Amber Rae Dunn and the Mulberries.
Right.
So I meet these guys and their band is Mulberry Jam. So there for a second, when I was trying to do both, it was real confusing for my fans, so to speak, because they'd be like, wait, is it with Mulberry Jam or is it and the Mulberries? And it was like, okay. But my band kind of broke apart around that time because we had some people move and just change what they were doing in their life. So I started singing with these guys full time and then still doing my songwriting. And they're so, well rehearsed. They rehearse every Tuesday. And it was just fun. All I had to do was show up and sing. They had gigs that they do every single year, those same gigs, and they'll only do about 3 a month, maybe, nothing crazy. And I could show up if I had the time, but if I was already booked for something else, they didn't care. They didn't need a singer, but they liked to have a singer.
Right.
So I taught them a couple of my songs, some Patsy Cline's, Ode to Billy Joe, and they taught me some of theirs, Who Walks In When I Walk Out, Milk Cow Blues, songs that I maybe would have never known. And it's just been a really fun pairing with
Is
these guys.
is the collection of songs, the 13 that you guys have recorded, is it going to be Mulberry related as far as the title is concerned?
No, but it'll probably be 10 of those that are released. And since I'm working with other people, I'm trying not to take over, because normally I am the sole creative, it's whatever Amber wants kind of thing. And then I just get it approved by the producer that he thinks it all fits. And with these guys, I want to make sure that I am incorporating them. Although they keep telling me, no, you do it. We've never released anything. We don't know how to do it. So maybe I'm dragging my feet. I don't know. But the leader, who is the mandolin player of the band, Lynn Lawhon, he said the other day he thinks Reflections would be a good title. So I think we're going to go with that, maybe. I usually like
So
two words,
something like
but
Reflections, is it I mean, you, like I say, you tend to be fun, bouncy, bubbly, but
yeah.
you did do some pretty deep introspection. So Reflections, that sounds like you're gonna go deeper, perhaps.
Well, only because so none of the songs are original.
None of them.
Yeah, a lot of them are public domain songs.
Oh wow.
So it's like actual reflections from the past.
Okay, so gotcha
That's
on
where he
that.
came up with that name.
I see. I see.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Amber, we have a nice way of closing here on the Craig-Veltri interview. It is called the No Kidding Questionnaire. A couple of rapid fire questions. First thing that comes to your mind whenever you're ready, and away we go. Childhood celebrity crush.
Paul Walker, of course.
Oh, you said, of course. Okay. What was it about? I mean, we're going to feature a song about a car later on. So, was it him? Was it the car? What was it about him?
I mean, have you not seen him naked in Joyride?
Actually, no. Actually, no. But
Go watch the movie Joyride. It's a thriller, and there's a scene where he is literally only cupping, his manhood.
his bits. Gotcha.
And everything else is there.
Well, my usual follow up to that, is that the kind of guy that you wound up dating? And I know you're married. Is that the kind of guy you wound up marrying?
If Paul Walker was a construction worker. No, my husband, everyone asks, is he your guitar player? And he's not. He's an average Joe. And I always tell people he's my consumer. I'm a creative at heart, and I would float off the planet if I was left to my own devices. So he kind of brings me back down and reminds me the commercialism side of everything, and that maybe I'm getting a little too out there or weird, or tone it down kind of thing, and in a cool way. Like he respects what I do and who I am, but he keeps me having that element of commercialism that I need to sustain this, and hopefully get that hit country song on radio one day.
It's only a matter of time. What was your favorite subject in school?
I didn't have one, but I'd say art probably.
Obviously, that's what you wound up going to school for. What occupation other than your own would you like to attempt?
I would love to be a chef
Do
if I had
you?
another life to live.
I mean, we've established that you don't know how to make a drink. Are you good around the kitchen?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I love to cook. And that's probably why I'm a gardener. Anybody worth their salt that likes to cook also usually likes to go grow or forage their own ingredients.
I'm intrigued by the prospect of it. I do cook myself, but I do not garden. It's just a matter of, I just don't really have access to. I mean, I could probably put something on stuff. I'm lazy, and there are only so many hours in the day. So
Well, you can text me. I don't know everything, but I'll give you some advice. I think everybody should at least have a patio garden. It's so fulfilling to plant something and then watch it bloom and then watch it grow and then eat a fruit from that. I mean, it's just the cycle of life, and it's very spiritual.
hmm.
I absolutely. It's so much deeper than just the word gardening. It really is.
My mom had a rose garden for a little while, and
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
kind of a beautiful thing to see as
Well,
well.
any Southerner worth their salt is a cook. That's just a thing. If you're a woman and you're in the South and you can't cook, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I found the one woman from Virginia and married her, and she couldn't cook either. So yeah,
Oh no.
sorry indeed. Um, there's a record about it. On the other side of the coin, what job, under no circumstances, I don't care how many bags of money have been handed to you, Amber Rae Dunn, would you never want to attempt?
To do? Like something that I'd have to do?
Yep.
Or
And it can be something you've done already.
you know me so well. Um I don't know. I'm not really scared of anything.
I figured that would be your answer, actually.
Um, I mean, this one's kind of dumb. I like to travel a lot and stuff, but I have a girlfriend currently that wants to take her 40th birthday and us all go on a cruise. And I don't think I want to get on a boat that's like slightly moving in the ocean and be trapped
Mm.
with a bunch of people. Like, I don't know. I don't want to do that. So I told her if I end up doing that, you have to know 100% every ounce of my being. This is only because I love you. Because I'm probably going to be Dramamined up the entire time.
I went on a cruise for my honeymoon, and it wasn't that bad. I did it
Okay.
once, got to do it to say it. Would I do it again after what happened in 2020? Absolutely not. I'm not contributing to the floating petri dish ever again. So
I was just about to say, have you watched the Poop Cruise on Amazon?
I've heard
Uh,
of it, and I think I can infer the disaster that occurred on that particular boat. So yeah.
it's
Uh,
actually really funny. That doesn't necessarily, that's not my reasoning. For me, it's just more of I do have a little bit of motion sickness enough to where I did try to deep sea fish one time and ended
I've
up
done that.
throwing up about a mile out incessantly to where the group decided, you know what, we're just going to do inshore.
Yeah, yeah, that I think my stomach has gotten a little bit more enforced over the years, but because I went fishing about 10 miles offshore uh, last year, but when I
Mhm.
was 13, yeah, I was doubled over and not feeling so much. I was just like, okay, just feed me to the sharks at this point. This is horrible. Um, what now that we built up the healthy appetite here, Amber Rae, what is your go-to food on a road trip?
Ooh, on a road trip. Well, just in general, tomatoes are my favorite food.
Okay.
Fresh tomato with a little bit of salt. And I often have a tomato with me. I bring food with me. I've got a little lunchbox that I bring on the road.
Now, I've heard Doctor Who say carry a banana with you for reasons, but carry a
Mhm.
tomato with you, even as somebody with an Italian last name. That's a new one on me.
Travel tomato.
Travel Tomato, name
Um,
of my next jazz band. But
there we go. There we go. I actually have a song called Duplex Garden that I wrote about my patio and my plants. But yeah, probably. I mean, beef jerky maybe.
mm,
My tomato, beef jerky, an apple. I always have an apple
mm.
also.
I've been trying to get on the beef jerky thing just to keep the protein going. I keep
Mm,
finding the varieties that have more salt than even Yinzer, somebody from Pittsburgh myself, would be find too salty. So,
hmm
so I'm trying. It's difficult, but usually you know, I have mine, and I've answered this question before anyway. So
Those
if
three and coffee. That's my answer.
indeed,
Yeah,
if you could have dinner, in fact, how do you take your coffee?
black.
Me too. Do you
Yep.
have a preferred roast?
Nope, just not burnt.
Just happy
As you
hunting on the
know,
road.
gas station coffee often is burnt, so just not burnt.
Yeah, the only time I've ever been in a Bucky's and been disappointed. Um,
Oh,
so speaking of all the great cuisine we've discussed, if you can have dinner with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be?
ooh, that's a good question. I'm gonna steal some of these questions for my TV
Please,
show.
please. I stole these too.
Yeah, yeah. I'm always looking for deeper questions. Let me get deeper. Let me ask them something nobody else has asked them. Dead or alive? Probably Charles Darwin.
That's an interesting one. I the man who initially brought forth the theories of evolution.
Mhm.
Is that mostly the discussion that you would have?
Well, so I came across him when I was in high school, and I think you had asked earlier what was my favorite subject. I said art, but also history.
Okay.
And when I was thinking about going to college, I had two options in my head. I love animals and I love being outdoors and I love snakes and lizards and frogs and all that kind of stuff because we have a lot of them here in Arkansas. And when I was little, we lived out in the country, and those were my friends. Like, if you wanted somebody to play with, you went and found a snake or a frog. Or,
I played with caterpillars. I get that.
yeah. And so I thought about going to Delta State or LSU and getting a degree in herpetology. And then I wanted to work in the Everglades with like crocodiles and snakes and stuff like that. But that sounded just like a little bit more like actual work than art. Art sounded like a little more like fun work.
Doing
So
homework all the time.
yeah, so we went with art, and then that all consumed my life. But I just always thought Charles Darwin seemed like a very intelligent guy, and I would have loved to be a naturalist back at his time when naturalists were collecting specimens and discovering new things that the world really didn't know, or his world at least really didn't know at that time. I find that so cool. Now a lot of things have been discovered, but like heavy rainforests, like in Borneo and stuff, there are still things that people are discovering. Now, mostly, it's like bugs and tiny birds and things smaller. Most of the big things have been discovered, or it'll be some plant that grows, in the canopy somewhere that they finally got a ladder to find it or something. But I just find that so cool and so interesting. And then his theory of natural selection, really, I believe that. And this sounds a little harsh, but I think a little more natural selection needs to be happening in humans right now.
Yeah,
Oh God.
I, my empathy wears thin sometimes, and I can find myself agreeing with that sometimes on my bad days. I get you on that. Amber Rae Dunn, what is your biggest pet peeve?
I don't really have one.
Really?
Yeah, you can't really make me mad. And this, I mean this
You've
politely.
awakened the little brother in me. Want to bet?
Well, I mean this well, my husband can make me mad, of course, but I mean this so nicely, but I don't care enough about you to alter my moment to give it to you to make me mad, if that makes sense.
Oh, perfect sense. Perfect sense.
And not you specifically. It's just,
oh no, I know.
Like I said, my husband can make me mad because I love him, So like general people, I probably love you too, but you can't get me like that. Like that's madness is not one of the places my mind likes to go. I don't like to be there. I don't like to dwell there. I don't like to hang out. So often I just don't go at all. I just remove myself from a situation if somebody makes me feel like I could be going that direction.
I've gotten better about that in my recovery, especially. I've come to realize that not only does it not matter what people think about me, it is none of my business. So I tend to do my best to carry myself that way. And if I don't, I still have the songwriting outlet to deal with that.
Yeah.
Last question of the questionnaire, Amber Rae. What is the best advice that anyone has ever given you?
I think for anybody, we could sit on that one forever because it might take me a second to remember all of the good advice I've been given. But I will say my producer, one of them here in Memphis, Jerry Williams, always says, Amber, it's music, business, 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 until you can't say the word business anymore. It is a business. I know it's creativity. I know it's stages. It's things you love, but it is a business first and foremost. Don't forget that. And he is right, which I knew that before him, but he is definitely right on that. And as much as I want it to be just creativity and just fun and writing songs and waving and kissing babies and all the parts I like, it is a lot more business than artists sometimes think it is. And if you luck up and your best friend steps up to be your manager, or you get a record deal right off the bat, or you've got people on your team that take care of a lot of the business, kudos to you. Keep those people. Give them hugs every day, because for those of us that are DIY all the way and doing everything, it is a lot of work and a lot of things that I don't enjoy. And in all honesty, some aspects of the business, I just flat out kind of don't do because I hate that part of it. And I hate doing that. And so I don't do that. And my career probably would be further along if I did do some of those little things.
Oh, me too.
And I just have to hope that someday I'll meet somebody that does like those little things, that will do those little things, because I just can't bring myself to do everything I do and those, because they suck my energy.
A lot of the reason, and it's not the reason that I've duoed up with my friend Megan Pennington on the Moonshine Vagabonds project, but a lot of the reasons that we continue to work together is that there are some things that Megan is really good at doing and is really quick about doing that I would have a little bit of trouble doing, and vice versa for the both of us. So it does work out. I mean, Scarfire Media is also now a record label as well. So we're kind of digging our research and all that stuff under there. But I completely agree. Or as I've heard it said, it's the music business, not music fun. Oh, it's fun. Don't get me wrong. It's the most it's the most fun I've had standing up in my lifetime. But I will say that just if you, my dad said, put in the 50 hours. If you really want to do this, put in the 50 hours. So I completely assign on that. And that is, in fact, great advice and something that I'm going to be doing right after I get off the Zoom call. But before we do that, this is the portion of the program that you should enjoy the most as a guest on this show, Amber Rae. It is time for shameless self-promotion. You've got several records out already. I have one to come in August. Where can we find it? Where can we find you? Plug your pluggables. Fire away.
It will be at the beginning of August at some time, but you can go to, I think they only have a Facebook. You can go to Facebook for Mulberry Jam is the name of that band. My name is Amber Rae Dunn. That's AmberRaeDunn. And everything is streamlined. Amber Rae Dunn. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, anything you do. I don't have cool nicknames.
Give me time.
Memphis Country Queen, I guess. I actually got
the Memphis Country Queen. Yes.
The studio, that first studio I worked at, that's what the guys would call me. They'd call me Dolly Lynn also, because a mixture of Dolly Parton and Loretta Lynn. But
I wouldn't go that far. Give me a couple weeks. I'll have the proper blend. But you are definitely genuine.
Throw me one. I like that.
So
I like that. But Amber Rae Dunn, I have a website. It's just amberraedunn.com, and they can find everything. And that if anybody plans on being in Memphis in August, they're more than welcome to come to that release. It'll be on Bill Street at A. Schwab, which is our oldest mercantile store and privately owned business, only one on Bill Street. So it's just this old little soda fountain, novelty shop, old hardwood floors. I mean, it smells amazing. It smells like 50s Memphis in this place. And that's going to be a lot of fun. And then you can find it all on my website, but I have the radio show, Memphis Connection, and then the Memphis Songwriters Association's radio show that I host. And then Memphis Sounds with George Klein on WYPL. And that can be watched locally on Channel 18. But if you're not local, it would probably be found through the memphislibrary.org/WYPL.
Amber Rae Dunn, it has been a delight to finally get you on the program. You are certainly the genuine article, a credit to the community that you are currently doing music in. And I hope things get bigger and much more harder to manage for you in the coming months and years. Thank you for your time, and thank you for joining me here today on the Craig-Veltri interview.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. This has been a wonderful pleasure. And maybe I need to come up your way now. Maybe I need to play up there.
I would say that is a need for sure.
Okay, we will definitely get that in the works.
The Craig-Veltri interview, where Craig-Veltri interviews wonderful people, is a production of Scarfire Media, the voice of the independent artist. Written and edited by Craig-Veltri. Your announcer is Megan Pennington. The opening theme, Shut Up, I Love You, written by Trenton Chandler and Craig Veltri, performed by Craig Veltri, produced by Jack Gavin. Inside the Cabin is available now on all streaming. Support Moonshine Vagabonds by downloading direct from Bandcamp. Time now to update the event calendar because you must know where I am at all times. Saturday, May 2nd, Moonshine Vagabonds at 565 Live in Bellevue from 8 to 11. Then Thursday, May 7th, 31 Sports Bar in Bridgeville, opening for Redneck Romeo from 8 to 9 p.m. For full dates, including Pittsburgh, Myrtle Beach, and Atlanta, Georgia, visit my website, craig-veltri.bandzoogle.com. For booking info, including full band and this podcast, email me at craig-veltri-official@gmail.com. You can find the interview on Facebook by searching the Craig Veltri Interview, YouTube at Craig Veltri Music, and you can find me on Instagram, or as my old roommate, the Tommy Thomas, used to call it, Instagirl, at craig.veltri. For Amber Rae Dunn, I'm Craig Veltri, and this has been the Craig Veltri Interview. With that, I'll pass. Off the album, I Guess That's Life, here's Amber Rae Dunn with Jessie Jane on the Craig Veltri Interview, proud member of the Scarfire Media Podcast Network.
As long as she drives good and flies to the air. He came home one night and he threw me the keys to a 97 Chevy. I fell to my knees. Mama told me to be careful after slamming the door. Couldn't wait to lose the top, push the pedal to the floor. All I really wanted was my hair in the wind, my first taste of freedom spin. Faith and fumes, prayers and pain. She should be long dead, but I'm lucky she ain't. Got a few more good years under the hood. Folks are saying I should trade her, and I guess I should. And I could, but I can't. 'Cause she's a silver tea-top and just that Jane. She's got a 383 and a spoiled little boot. Hugs the curves like a t-shirt on my wet bathing suit. Like an open road in the hot summer sun. This gypsy outlaw woman has just begun. Faith and fumes, prayers and pain. She should be long dead, but I'm lucky she ain't. Got a few more good years under the hood. Folks are saying I should trade her, and I guess I should. And I could, but I can't. 'Cause she's my silver tea-top and just that Jane. Oh yeah. Between city landed streets and county roads. Early mornings at church on my late night show. She's got my back, but the whole town knows. Faith and fumes, prayers and pain. She should be long dead, but I'm lucky she ain't. Got a few more good years under the hood. Folks are saying I should trade her, and I guess I should. And I could, but I can't. Faith and fumes, prayers and pain. She should be long dead, but I'm lucky she ain't. Got a few more good years under the hood. Folks are saying I should trade her, and I guess I should. And I could, oh, but I can't. 'Cause she's my silver tea-top, and she's my silver tea-top. She's my silver tea-top, and she's my silver tea-top.